It's been too long! Who's waiting for justice? Protecting children!
It stopped when I just turned 16. My head was so messed up. I remember thinking, why did it stop? Not that I wasn't relieved. It wasn't until years later I realised it was because I was no longer a child.
Billy's gonna get you. Billy's gonna give you all the evidence you need to lock these dirty bastards up who call themselves councillors, call themselves politicians, and call themselves policemen. No longer are we gonna allow this.
Yeah everyone, so I've been away from YouTube for a while. I've been super busy. Make sure you follow us on Facebook so you don't miss any live streams or events as they happen. I will be trying to make it down to Batley this weekend to try and go live and cover both sides of the demonstrations, so make sure you follow me on Facebook for them. Other than that though, the next couple of weeks look a lot less busy, so hopefully I'll be able to get some of the protests from the past couple of months up, like the Glazers Out protests, which I'll probably put up as I'm speaking. Please also consider becoming a supporter of the channel for as little as £1 a month. All these funds will go directly into improving our equipment, travel and eventually hiring staff like professional editors to improve how fast we can bring you content. Everyone who subscribes will get credited at the end of highlight videos, and also I'll have exclusive content coming soon. Let's get into the video.
Today we're here to protest against the returning paedophiles. So what we're basically looking at doing is implementing a 30-mile, what we call a restraining order. So when they're released from prison, they can no longer be in the same town, same streets, same temp centres as the people they abuse. We obviously here, as well as the deported three, which we talk about, which is Abdul Rauf, Abdul Aziz, and I forget the name of the other chap. Our idea is to make sure that this can never ever happen again. No survivor in this country should ever have to go face to face with the person who abused them after the release from prison. Their effort to make sure by a petition, by hook or by crook, is to make sure that this 30-mile law is implemented. That's what we're doing here today, that's what we're looking at doing. PagUK started off as a campaign group, a pressure group, looking at pushing the council to making changes for the betterment of children of the borough, and then we obviously uncovered cover-up after cover-up. Then we uncovered the grooming scandal. We were also involved in the no-view investigation, which is something that we've been working on for a long time. We'll now work towards helping survivors recover after their abuse. We're doing a lot of survivor recovery. We have over 9 counsellors, well we have 3 counsellors on our books, and we have another 4 or 5, 6 are all in training to become counsellors, so we're available to survivors around the clock, every day, all day. Abdul Rauf was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment for abusing and trafficking of children. He was released after 2.5 years, didn't even serve 3 out of the 6. He was released after 2.5 years. He returned back to Roachdale, he turned back to takeaways, he turned back to Roachdale. He was working in the local takeaways. He was parked outside Kingsway Park High School one day when I caught him. He was parked there, and that's a school in which he preyed upon with the students that went there were some of his survivors or victims at the time. When I contacted the police, they told me as long as he's in his car, he's okay. We're talking about the taxi driver of the grooming gang, we're talking about the trafficker of children. His car was his weapon of choice. So there's been zero policing of any paedophile, not just Abdul Rauf, but any paedophile returning from a sentence is unpoliced here in Roachdale. He's allowed to just get on with it, give him freedom of the borough. It's the same patterns they followed with Cyril Smith, who used to work in the town hall, the MP for Roachdale. He had the freedom of the borough to get on with it and re-traumatise all his survivors for many years. We're looking at stopping that, not just here in Roachdale, but around the UK.
And just anything else you'd like to mention?
We do have a petition on the government website, it's e-petitions. We're looking at creating this 30-mile law. It's important for survivors not to be re-traumatised in when they're engaging in recovery, and that's why we're doing this. We'll, if you can, pass a petition about, sign it, share it. It's equally important to all survivors that this gets passed.
I help Billy with PagUK. I run PagUK Cumbria. My daughter's a survivor of grooming. There's a hell of a lot of it going on in Barrow. Police are covering it up. We've got the proof that they're covering it up. The authorities are covering it up. So if we as parents don't try and help these kids, who's going to?
Would you mind telling us a little bit about your family's incident?
Let's just say the police know what's going on. I've got the proof that the police knew it was going on. It's now sat with a legal team. Let's just leave it at that with that, because you know that's something that you let a legal team play with. We had it proved this week when my daughter was acquitted for Mickey Mouse charges, and then your trolls are out there, so I'll say hello to the trolls now, because believe you me, it's going to come back and bite you on the arse. Been to all the demonstrations that PAG have had since a young lady in Barrow who had been going through it put a post out to say what she'd been through. Straight away the police try and criminalise her, put her on remand for what? Speaking the truth. So we've had a few demonstrations in Barrow, and then luckily the veterans community got involved, and there was a big demonstration about veterans and mental illness, and again child grooming and sexual exploitation of children that the veterans community have brought in together. Organised by a guy, really good bloke, Dean Cumberbatch, down in Nottingham. So we went and attended that, and then obviously due to lockdowns there hasn't been many protests that can be done. So, and then when this has come out today, well, recently, about this bloke in Roachdale that was convicted for grooming children, and then he comes out and says, I've done my time, it's all forgotten. Well, I'm sorry mate, it ain't fucking ever forgotten. So how the hell can you go back to a town where you raped children, drive in a taxi and be seen outside of school? You should be on a plane and deported because you've lost 2 appeals. Now get on a plane and fuck off.
Just anything else you'd like to mention, or any upcoming protests?
We're going to get ourselves around a social distancing table and start planning something for Cumbria. Start helping all these kids. It's not just Cumbria, it's not just Roachdale. It's countrywide. The police need to start putting their hands down their trousers, grabbing them dangly things, and start admitting that it's going on and that they're failing people and all the systems are failing these kids, and start helping them instead of covering it up.
Any problems or what you said?
Not a problem at all, they were just asking me what the delay was. Right here, Paul. Just asking me what the delay is. I just told them there's been a suicide on the motorway, so all the traffic's backed up to Prestwich. So they're having, a lot of them were having to get off at Prestwich and head all the way around, so it's an extra 20 minutes, 25 minutes on the journey. It's only right that they've come from all over the country to support us today that we wait a little time. Police are understanding with it, but they always are when we do these in Roachdale. They leave us alone, we're always peaceful, we've never ever had a public order issue, so they don't even get out of the van, to be honest, when we're here. You may see a few at the top end when we go up the top end, but the majority just let us get on with it. For those who do not know me, I'm Billy Hope and I'm founder of PagUK. We were forced to open and start operating here in Rochdale because of the lack of accountability and the conspiracy into child grooming is what was before us. Today we were able to support and help recover survivors of childhood abuse. I'd like to thank everybody here for coming. Before I delve into my speech, I have a statement I'd like to read out on behalf of WAG, Women Against Grooming, who have been ever present in the fight against Roachdale's groomers and the following covering up. WAG, Women Against Groomers, a Northwest-based support group for grooming gangs and rape victims, have been fighting for 2 years to get Raouf, Khan and Aziz deported. WAG held a protest at Parliament, submitted a parliamentary petition, enlisted lawyer Robin Tilbrook to write to Priti Patel, the Home Office, demanding they take action, submitted a judicial review with witness statements. All have either been refused or ignored. Our opinion on this matter is now these men are being protected by somebody, and we would like to know, 2 of them are funding who is funding the appeal. That's a message from WAG. They do not want to say anything more than a few words, so I call on the people of Roachdale. Do not vote Labour, do not vote Conservative, as both MPs have refused to support us in this battle. We will not give up till these monsters have been deported. And that's from WAG. WAG can't make it today, guys, but believe me, they've been ever present in this fight since day 0, so can you give them a big shout and a big round of applause? We stand here today, not just because we misunderstand the process of deportation. We are fully aware this decision sits with the Home Office. Our march on justice will take us there very soon. We know Roachdale Nick doesn't make these calls, so why are we here today? Firstly, I'd like to cover an historical abuse. No view. We all know the lengths in which Greater Manchester Police, Roachdale Council, local politicians from all parties, the Crown Prosecution Service and those in Westminster went to cover up the abuse of many young boys. They continue to do so today as Operation Hydrant whimpers along. We continue to see the pupils of No View be told no further action. We must stand against this and say no. For them, we demand accountability. Linda, for 35 years, stood against No View, stood against the oppression of children. There was beating the shit out of kids. There was raping children. This was the only person in this town at the time that made a stand. Unfortunately for us, she was part of our team. Unfortunately, she died at the start of COVID and she's passed away.
Shall I be respectful?
Roachdale hero, if there ever was one. And if there's ever going to be a statue there, it shouldn't be a Gracie Field, it should be this woman here. It's unthinkable, guys, it's unjust, and it's why we stand here today. Next, I'd like to address Roachdale's history with grooming gangs and paedophiles. I will use Abdul Rauf as an example, but I'll also share somebody else with you so know I'm being fair and I'm being just, and it's right. Abdul Rauf was 43. Was one of the 9 convicted for trafficking and the rape of children. This was in May 2012. He was then released 2.5 years later, less than half of his sentence in November 2014. I shall admit I did not have as much faith as Greater Manchester Police and Roachdale Probation that he would remain away from survivors and other children. How was I right? How was I right? Including his own, he's a father of 5. On the day of his release, he returned home to the 5 children, unsupervised. Nobody there to make sure them children were safe. Disgraceful. I witnessed his return home from jail from day 1. I caught him outside Kingsway Park High School. This is the very school he preyed upon which some of his victims went to. He was parked outside the school, not 30 yards away. I asked him, what are you doing here? I put him on camera. I asked him. His reply was, it's all finished. It's never finished. It will never be finished. And I tell you something else. I reported it to Roachdale Police, who then decided to tell me, well, is he in his car? Yes, he's in his car. Well, it's okay then. Let's talk about him being in his car. His car was his weapon of choice. He was a taxi driver. He was a food deliverer. What's he doing again? He's been pictured last week doing takeaway deliveries. That's because he's on a lifetime SPO order. That's unpoliced. And that's why we stand here today. And then, for a second time, I contacted GMP again. I asked, will you please stop Abdul Rauf parking outside the school? This man is a danger to children. I was told, he's in his car, it's okay. I was told, stop harassing him. A week later, he's parked outside the primary school further down the road, called Lower Place Primary School. This time, I didn't bother with the police. I just told him, you're going. You're moving, and I moved in myself. I didn't rely on these, I did it myself.
Thank you.
Fast forward some years, and it's round about Christmas. Me and my team received some information. This man was working for a local takeaway. I'd have exposed this 12 months ago, but COVID put a stop to it because we couldn't do the work that we do during COVID. But I'm telling you, this guy's been doing this for the last 2 or 3 years. Can you imagine? Put every one of you here now, put yourself in a survivor's shoes and think, If you ordered a takeaway for your kids, a pizza, and the knock came at the door, you opened the door, and that man stood at your door, the man who abused you, the man who trafficked you to his friends, what's going on? It's wrong, it's unjust, and it's unfair, and it's why we stand here today. Stephen Fort, now I know not a lot, you're not going to know this guy, but I need to talk about it because he's another Abdul Rauf. Stephen Fort was another free to roam our streets and canals to prey upon kids. Even though, again, I give these authorities the absolute warning that this man was on the prowl. I'd see him in the libraries, in the kids' books aisles. I see him waiting for his chance to strike. I videoed him, I watched him, I followed him for weeks and weeks, and strike he did again for a third time. Unpoliced, it's avoidable, it's unjust, and it's unfair, and it's why we stand here today. I could speak of so many other offenders in this town now who are allowed to return to Roachdale, unaided, unpoliced, and free to strike again. We're not here to just to protest against deportation today. We'll take that one to the Home Office itself. We're here to protest against continued corrupt attitude and failure to protect children, survivors, and the unwillingness to hold themselves to account for these failures. We're here today because this police force, Greater Manchester Police, and others around the UK are not just failing, but facilitating child abuse by inaction. An unwillingness to change and to be able to account to a point where they have become complicit in the abuse of children. I ask you now, as well as this is the start of a journey, I'm asking each and every one of you here to join and stand with me as we begin a journey together, but for one, the right to protect our kids. We start doing so today by signing and sharing an online petition we're calling the 30-mile law. The law that's designed to protect survivors from ever having to fear facing people like this and people like that again once they've been charged with abuse. With this 30-mile law, it's a restraining order that means if you abuse somebody for the rest of your life, you cannot go within 30 miles of that person. Period. It's over. We'll stop that and this ever happening again by passing this law. I need your signature. I need your signature. As I've just said, this is the start of a journey. Next up will be Greater Manchester Police's Mayor, T6 current Police and Crime Commissioner, Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham, I want you to know, this is a message from me to you. I want you to know the families, the survivors and the supporters are coming for accountability. This will not go away. This will not be forgot. We shall march upon your office and demand justice and ask the question, who is it you're protecting and who is it you serve? I want to pass you on. So, you all know I've been working in PagUK Cumbria. I want to tell you, the families that have been involved in this have been through so much trauma, so much re-traumatisation, so much bullying from the people who are guilty of doing this. We're very limited in what we can say, but I brought a guy here today who is a family who's been through the mill. I wanted to show you appreciation because they've all been through it. Ian Piper, ladies and gentlemen.
Go on, Sam!
I can't say much. Fucking wrong. Detective Superintendent Dean Holden. I'm coming for you. Hey! 3 years ago, Cumbria Police decided to try and stitch my daughter up and charged her with blackmail. 3 years we fought this with police. In December we went to court where the Crown Prosecution Service offered no evidence. Borough Police appealed it. Our QC had only ever heard of that twice in 27 years of practising on massive murder cases. Me and Billy had a meeting with Dean Holden, and as I told him, every time I speak to Cumbria Police, I record them. In that meeting, he came out with the quote, we appealed it because we think she had the probability and potential. Well, my arse has got potential, sunshine. We went back to court this week where a top CPS QC actually told the judge there is no evidence. She didn't do it.
They lied.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Scumbags! The judge acquitted her.
Guys, I'm looking for him because the absolute victimisation, they tried to criminalise this girl and others. They tried to criminalise, they failed, they couldn't do it because we're too strong together. We will march to the end of the earth for this girl, and for every girl like her, we are not going to stop.
Amen. 12 months ago, there was a young lady in Barrow who put a post out of what she'd been through. You've all heard her name, it's Ellie Williams. Another message to Detective Superintendent Holden. Next time you want to start fucking talking about her, and then email me and Billy saying, can't answer them questions, silly boy. Everything's now gone to a legal thing, because not only have you tried to criminalise my family, you're doing it to Ellie Williams and her family. And if they can't speak, you've took their voice away. Well, I'm fucking lucky, I'll speak for them. There's other girls in Barrow that have approached PagUK, that are being abused, that are being groomed. 16 years old, being given $5 grand's worth of cocaine to go and sell it behind a pub. You phone the police, what do? Cool. I'm going to ask every one of you here, if you've got Facebook, go on PagUK Cumbria. Fucking join it, I'll accept you into it. Like Billy said, the more people we can get to do this, the better. It's not about what politically minded you are, it's not about race, it's not about religion. At the end of the day, you should all come together, because it's about fucking children. There's 3 things in life you just don't touch. Women, kids, and the elderly. You're in a town that's historically known for grooming. We've got it in our own town. Every fucking town in this country's got it. Where are they at?
Hiding under the tables. Do your job.
Oh, Billy! She's fed up. She's fed up.
Billy's coming, you better fucking run. So let's get focused because there's important things that are being said.
Yeah. When Ellie Williams came out with what she's gone through, a fucking small minority in Barrow and other areas decided to make their little hate groups. Some of them have been done for it. They've been to court. Some haven't. Say it bluntly, and I'll name yous. I won't give you surnames, but I'll give you a clue now. Janine, Siobhan, Sammy,
Yes, Dad!
Joanne.
Joe Murphy.
Oh,
Don Ron Jovi.
Don Ron Jovi.
Oh, yeah. Don Ron Jovi, a.k.a. Joseph Murphy.
If the police won't do anything, I won't sit behind a bottle of wine like you fucking melts do. I will pay for a private prosecution against you. And then, I'll wipe my arse with yous. Because I tell you now, the minute you go against kids that have had the balls to admit what they've been subjected to, you're as bad as the perverts that have done it. A guy called Eddie went round sending emails to people saying that my daughter was a prostitute. Untold amounts of messages he sent. Well, silly for you fucking wet wipe, because that's now with the old Bill. When I first met Billy, we had a meeting with Cumbria Police, and there was myself, Billy, Jay from Pag, and we met with the superintendent of Barrow Police. She openly sat in that meeting and admitted that she knew about grooming well before she come to Barrow. A chief inspector sat there with a detective inspector saying that they used to be Greater Manchester Police and they was involved in the Roachdale cases. So you'd think from the failings, unfortunately, these girls in Roachdale have had, if you've come from Greater Manchester Police to another county, surely by God you should know that this ain't your first rodeo. You know what I mean? There's so much I can tell you about Cumbria Police, about their failings. But I'll have you here for about 3 weeks. I really would. And I wouldn't even scratch the surface of it. It's happening in every county. It's happening in every town. The Cumbrian Police Prime Commissioner has admitted it's going on, not just in Barrow, but in Cumbria. So we've had an MP, a Crime Commissioner, have said it's going on. But yet we have a fucking copper that says it ain't. One of them's lying. Who do you reckon it is?
But let's talk about Cumbria establishment. Alden, Jackson, Sarah Jackson, Jail Warden.
Chief, yeah. I'll go through their ranks. You had Detective Superintendent Dean Alden, top CID bloke, whatever, lives in his little ivory tower. And then in Barrow you had Superintendent Sarah Jackson, Chief Inspector Gaynor Wardle, Detective Inspector John Graham Cummins, and PC Sutherland. Just before Christmas, the Home Secretary come to Barrow and they thought we didn't fucking know about it. Barrow Police got an arse whipping. The Superintendent that run Barrow, she's now the standing Chief Constable of Barrow. The Chief Inspector is now a Superintendent. The Detective Inspector is now a Chief Inspector. Where are they now? Out of Barrow.
Where was he in 2012? Greater Manchester Police. There's your connection, there's your failures, there's your culprits, they're the people who need to be held to account.
I'll show you how confident I am in the fucking police at the minute. I refuse to send any child to the police direct. We refer them to a fantastic organisation called Barrow Women's Community Matters for several reasons, and it's one, they've been fantastic with my family.
Well done.
2, they ensure these kids get the counselling and everything that they fucking so rightly deserve.
They deserve that, yes.
And 3rd, they create a paper trail. So the police...
Accountability!
The police, bless them, in Cumbria, told me that they'd referred some stuff to Police Scotland, Borough Police. I phoned Police Scotland on Thursday. They've never had fuck all from you. I went back to the copper because Dundee Police, believe it or not, Scottish Police were like, we've never had nothing. But go back to Cumbria Police and ask them these two questions. Who was the officer they spoke to? And if they did it internal on the portal, get the reference number. So I emailed the copper. I've got nothing but lies. So I've referred it all on again. But one thing I will say is, on my own family's side of things, I really want to thank our legal team for what they've done for our family. If you need fucking help, don't be ashamed to ask for it. Honestly, don't. I've had to sit there and watch it as a father, and that saying is true. What don't fucking kill you makes you stronger. Yeah. Alright? We've all got fucking kids. Hopefully, you never have to go through it, because I tell you now, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. And as fucking lumping in my throat as it takes me to say this, if any of these bastard trolls come to me and said it's happening to my kids, I wouldn't turn them away. I'd have to help them, because it's the moral thing to do. Yeah. I'll finish off with, please, get on Facebook, join PagUK Cumbria.
Sign the petition.
Join Justice for the Girls, sign the petitions.
I'm begging you today, please share it every single day. We need this petition, survivors need this petition, our kids need this petition. We need to recover, we need to move on, and we need to fight more for accountability.
So, it's not about
Stronger together.
Everyone! Justice! Everyone! No! Everyone! Justice! Everyone! No! Do your job! Do your job! Do your job! No! Everyone! Justice! Everyone! No! Everyone! Justice! Everyone! No!
Get out!
Come and speak to us! We have done
I'm not coming out. Say, yeah guys, we're sorry, we're going to make change, we're going to do things differently, we're going to work with you, we want this to stop ourselves. They've gone, fuck them.
They've not even said anybody else. They're scared, Billy.
We're back to the Old Queen. I want all respect for a minute's silence, if you do not mind, for this lady, because she dedicated her life to justice for the boys of Roachdale, who were massively abused, They was beaten on a daily basis. Every day in that school was a day in hell, yeah? And if it worked for this woman, it'd still be there now. It's not because she stood up and she spoke. They tried to silence her. They parked MI5 outside her house. She was 60-year-old. MI5 parked outside her house telling her, shut your mouth. This is her saying, nah, shut my mouth for me, because I'm not going to do it, yeah? This is the Queen. Right, so, as soon as we strike, minute silence, Rob, now. The people who are behind us are the people that we love. The people who support us are the people we stand with. The people that we do this for are our people. Yeah, not their people. It's our people. It's down to us. From now on in, I want each and every one of you up to see you again. The next stop will be Andy Burnham.
We'll be back.
Those with me, agree with me, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much, guys, and thank you for coming. I respect and love each and every one of you.
You've travelled here today, and these three men you all look at the faces, they're still walking around to this day.
In this town.
6 years after they should have been gone. And could bump into the children that they were abusing and making thousands of pounds out of. It's an absolute disgrace. We shouldn't have to be doing this if the police did their jobs and got rid of scum like them three.
Have you permission to pick up again?
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
It's just a recognised frame for stones.
Charlene Downs, as we all know, she disappeared and her body has still never been found to this day. We are hoping to do another demo. It's in Blackpool in July. I've had the badges made for Charlene Downs. I've had the leaflets designed for Charlene Downs and I've got the write-up for it. I'm just hoping now to get leaflets printed, and I believe that it's going to be in July in Blackpool. And, you know, it's going to be about the children, but I'll be there, you know, shouting the name of Charlene. But when I shout Charlene Downs' name, it's for all the children in Blackpool, because it's rife. It's still going on in Blackpool to this day. And the police know about it. It's like a young girl, her surname's Paige. Her body's still never been found to this day. Another girl groomed in Blackpool. It's an absolute disgrace, and we can't let it go until justice has been done for these girls. Although I think someone has gone to prison for the young girl, Paige, but her body's still not been found, just like Charlene Downs. The family of Charlene Downs, they want some justice, and so we've got to keep shouting her name. But as I say, when we shout her name, we're shouting for all the children that are being groomed, and it's still going on in Blackpool to this day. It's rife, it's got everything in Blackpool. The music, arcades, the rides, cheap food, and this is how they get the young kids, you know, the young girls and boys. As I say, just think of Michael Tarrigo, look his story up, look at Josie and Bobby Blair, their story. And as I say, we know what they say about who did it to Charlene Downs, but I honestly don't believe anybody who's into raping girls actually raped Charlene Downs. We don't just shout because it's Muslims, but if it's Smudlands, like we're here today in Roachdale, these three pictures. Them three pictures there, everybody. They are pictures of three men that are convicted that are doing this to children, raping them. These young girls, to them three men, are nothing more than pieces of meat and money. Now, we don't want to hear the racist card, and I'll tell you why. If they were three white men, I would be here today saying get rid of that scumbags. They've been convicted, them three. They've been to prison, and they've been had the British citizen taken away from them, and they should have gone 6 years ago, and they're still here to this day. Worse than that, they're living in Roachdale, they're walking around. Girls who they've groomed are frightened to death of bumping into these, as has happened in the past. They bumped into these, they didn't just groom them, they threatened them. They threatened they'd rape the mothers, rape the sisters, beat the brothers up, beat the dads up, anything. Because these girls are nothing but piece of meat and money. And that's why I always say they've got big houses, big cars, nice firms, nice holidays, because they're making thousands of pounds out of these girls. Them three men are still about, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're still making money, because they're making thousands of pounds a week, and their mates are at it, and we've got to stop it. We have to stop it. We have to get rid of just these three here. They've got to go. I'm sorry where they're going, because they'll do it where they are. It's still going on to this day in Roachdale, we've got no doubt. We know about Victoria Golia. Look on me back, everybody. That is Victoria Golia. She told the authorities that she was being raped and groomed and forced to be injected with heroin. And do you know what the authorities did? Absolutely nothing. Within a few weeks of her telling the authorities, this poor girl had died of an heroin overdose. No one's gone to prison for this girl's murder. Someone went to prison for about 18 months, he did, involved with her. But when you are forcibly injecting a young girl with heroin and she dies, it's murder. They opened a big inquiry after she died. Within a year, they found nearly 100 men's names. Did they go after them? Did they bloody hell? Do you know what they did? They closed it all down, and for 15 years they allowed it to carry on and gave the green light to the rapists and groomers. 15 years, ruining other girls and young boys. I mean boys as well, ruining their lives. They go to have children, they end up alcoholics and drug addicts. You can't blame them for what they've been through, and then their children suffer as well. So we're here in Roachdale today. We want rid of that three scum walking round in Roachdale. Like it's, as we've heard them say, it's the past. It's not over at all. It's not over, it's just like Barrow in Furnace. Poor Ellie Williams and poor the other Ellie and hundreds of other kids in Barrow being raped and groomed. And Chief Superintendent Dean Holden, I
I said the minute I found out what was going on in Barrow-in-Furness, you're a flaming liar. I said, come and arrest me. I took a chance. You didn't arrest me because you're a liar. I know you're lying. Get it sorted out in Barrow-in-Furness, because it's going on there as well. Amen.
They've been doing it for 50 years, and you've all been bloody asleep.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Hey!
Three men should be deported. They lost the deportation battle and they're convicted sex offenders.
Right, so that's concluded our assigned speakers for today. So we're going to open the mic up to the crowd. A few things. Let's keep. Remember, we're here for the children, so let's keep everything we say here polite. Remember that abusers come from all different backgrounds. But to invite the first person on stage, we have Scott Kennedy, who's an attender of Manchester Survivors. Let's hear it for Scott, everyone.
This is quite difficult, really. I still live in the bedroom where it all happened. What the fuck? Stupid housing. I've not got a clue. I still live in the crime scene. I still weed in bed at the age of 45. Still have night terrors. I don't have no siblings. That's probably the longest relationship I've ever had. Fucking 6 weeks. Because, you know, that's what he's done to me. I've always been on the run, on the run, on the run, on the run. It's called revolving door. They just keep revolving. I used to start up with myself, you know, and I'm sad, you know. The hardest thing as well was just tell my parents, you know what I mean? They had a duty of care. And, you know, they broke their heart. It actually breaks my heart every day. It took me 10 years to report it to the police. One of the questions is what I've got stuck in my mind is, I'm the age of 8, yeah? One of the questions was, how did it feel when he penetrated his penis in your anus? I said, what the hell? What kind of question's that? Hey? You know, I said, oh, just like stabbing his eye with a fucking fork. It's just my life. I've had no life. It picks up the way. I try my best, and that's all I can do. I just wish you'd all not make it a taboo subject. You know, I look out for signs in people, you know, isolation, you know, that's what it feels like to me, you know. My mind's been in the concentration camp, yeah. The fence is there, I've got the key in my hand, but I can't get to the fucking body. Fucking man won't let me. And I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Well, I've been a male survivor now for about, I was sexually assaulted at, well, about 17 years old by 5 people, 5 guys, all online, and groomed me, basically took me, really sexually assaulted me, mental health. I had to leave Yorkshire, that's why I'm here in Manchester, because that's the only place I can get support. One was in quite high in the government, and his husband's involved with it as well, so at this moment I've got my whole life is here and the support I've got. Guys who have done it to me also made me HIV positive as well. So basically then I only had a week to live. Basically I was only aged that age where basically my health was deteriorated. I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. Because of these guys who were online crediting me, there were 6 of them. I'm not kidding you, this is why I'm speaking up today, because it's important that people are aware that male side of it as well is happening around this country, and it still is now. And today, I'm training now to be a life coach in male sexual assault. I'm also training to be a counsellor as well. I support these guys because they do an absolutely brilliant job. I follow them all the time, and their radio name as well. I'm out in the media of it, and I'm going to support everything they do, because I tell that if it weren't for these guys, we wouldn't be able to get here now today and support each other, because I tell that I've lived it, and it's been awful.
I just want to introduce somebody, a gentleman who's going through a lot of shit back home. He's here from Cumbria. He's now the founder of PagUK Cumbria. Please welcome Ian Piper.
Just to give you an outset of what it's like as a parent, March 2017, my daughter went to the police because she didn't want her mum and dad to know what she'd been through. 2 days later, the police come to my house, 6 vans, and arrested a 16-year-old girl for blackmail. 2 days after. For 3 years, we've been fighting it in court, and when we went to court last month, the chief prosecutor for the CPS stood there and said there is no evidence. However, Cumbria police knew that she was being abused from the age of 12 and did nothing about it. That was aired in the court law. My daughter's here today. I couldn't be more proud of that girl. Really couldn't. I hear the word victim battered around a lot. Personally, you did it right though. You are survivors because you've been let down by that many fucking people. You have had to survive. You are probably the hardest people we will ever meet in this world, without a shadow of a doubt. 12 months plus we've all been getting trolled in Cumbria because of a certain girl that I'm not meant to mention, Ellie, calling us all liars, you know, we're not political, we're not racist or anything like that. I know the Blair brothers, I'm ex-military, I've been told I'm this, that and the other. We've all come together for one thing, and my old man installed this to me when I was a kid. The 3 things you don't touch in life: women, children and the elderly. You just don't do it. You just don't do it. I'm going to leave it there because I'm going to go back to my family and try and make them take care.
My name's Leslie. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, and I'd really like to share my story with you if that's okay. So my story, I was sexually abused by a family member from as early as maybe 4 or 5. He would molest me under the cover of playful tickles quite openly whenever we visited or revisited us, but always in a different room. When I complained in a way that I could verbalise at such a young age by saying that he scared me and I didn't like it, I was told to stop complaining, as he was only playing with me. So I stopped complaining and just let it continue. As I grew older, it became more sexual. Groping, inappropriate touching whenever he could. He would talk to me like I was a woman or a sexual object that he was attracted to from as early as maybe 8 or 9. He would sneak into my room when I was sleeping, when he thought I was asleep, in nothing but his underwear, and he would pull up my duvet from the bottom and just look at me, and I would freeze with terror. It stopped when I just turned 16. My head was so messed up, I remember thinking why it had stopped. Not that I wasn't relieved. It wasn't until years later I realised it was because I was no longer a child. All this messed up with my understanding of trust, consent, intimacy, and still does to this day. In my early teens and late teens I attempted to commit suicide. I turned to drugs, I was promiscuous, and I was exploited by other older men. I also went through domestic abuse. With my first relationship, I lost a child because of the abuse and the violence. The abuse may or may not have led me down those paths, but because at such an early stage in my development, where trust and appropriate relationships should have formed, I will never know. The message I'm trying to convey is that the level of abuse and the length are irrelevant, because the damage is still the same for the survivors. You carry it on your shoulders throughout your life, reminding you happened. But this can really freeze you. So thank you from my soul for everybody here for acknowledging me.
We're an online hunting team, we've dealt in a lot of cases, we're going to keep dealing in cases. I'd rather it be a decoy than a real child any time of the day, 100%. Now, some of these people online, they come back up as real offenders. The police and the CPS are both watching them. But no, they start talking to kids online. Maybe it is decoys, maybe we do what we do, but we are the deterrent and we are going to stop them. If you're watching our page, guys, Illusory Child Protection Unit, please follow us. We're not going to give up, we're not stopping. Facebook have just took me down on one page. I've got a new page coming up, guys. We're not going to stop catching these people, 100%. As I said, in our team as well, a lot of our decoys are survivors. This is their revenge as well, guys, 100%. And we support them 100%. That's what I say. If anybody is watching our page today, you can see what's going on. These guys are going to Blackpool next month. They're going to Blackpool as well. If you want to go to Blackpool, you want to be with these guys, save our children, please go along. Stand with these people. Stand together. We've got to fight together to save our children. The way the things that are on the CPS are full of shit. I'm sorry, guys, for swearing, but the CPS are disgusting. Some of the charges are handed out to some of these people, and some of these people have actually groomed male children, then they've been back onto our decoys, so they're still offending in what they're doing. They're still offending every day. There's no deterrent. Give us one a slap wrist and a sexual rehabilitation course. You're not going to stop this. Don't even stop this like these guys. 25 years. Slam these bastards. Slam them. 100% slam them. Stand together, fight together, and be together, guys. Save our children. 100% support you. Thank you, guys.
I'm surviving myself with many abuse in the care system by men, grooming gangs, everything else, rape, When I was a child in the care system, I was blackmailed on a daily basis by social services. That they'd buy me McDonald's if I kept my mouth shut and didn't speak out. They bribed me with sweets from the shop if I didn't see any of my family. I was abused by a foster carer that was supposed to be a lone foster carer, but she had a male involved that touched me up in a way that he shouldn't have. Now, me being me as a child didn't quite understand what was wrong. I thought I was the one to blame. As I got older, I had my first child back in 2012. At the time, I was in a domestic violence relationship. I begged social services to help me to get away from him. They said, it's your own fault. They said, we're not supporting you. They took my child. The next thing I know, 2 weeks later, I'm stuck in the court system fighting for my child. They said she can't cope. She's got depression, she's got mental health, and she's been abused. She's a broken woman. My child went for adoption. I went on further to have another child. That child was then placed with me abuser's family because they were safer than me. The thing I don't understand with social services, they're failing a lot of survivors. They're too quick to take your children rather than supporting you and helping you. The question I ask, and I ask all the time, is why is a parent charged and prosecuted for kidnapping their own children, but social services and the police can remove them and they stand more power than you do? I don't quite understand. As this lady's just said, it's a birth certificate as well. Now, I made that mistake and all mine were registered. The thing I'm trying to say is survivors are failed massively, as a lot of people have touched up on. Now, nobody'd ever look at me and say, that's a survivor, or that's a normal person, or she's been raped, or she's been abused, and she's a mum that's had her children took. Yes, I am more than things, but I'm only a human being.
It takes, I don't mean it like this, just the way I want to say it. It takes balls to stand here and go on about the abuse, whether it's sexual, whether it's physical. You know what I mean? It's a hard thing to do. Whenever we do these all over the country, we're bringing more testimonials out to bring more people forward. Each and every one of us have got a different story to tell about our abuse. But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's one of them. We're all not lying, we're telling the truth. You know what I mean? As much as it's heart-wrenching, you will see stories that will break your heart. It's not nice. that they keep doing it constantly, because we are the survivors and we're the voice of the children, and we've always got to be the voice of our children and our children's children. That's why we continue to do what we do, and we always will. Thank you for everybody being here today. Thank you for your support. Keep sharing everything out. Share it to your friends, family, aunties, uncles, grandmas, granddads. You know, this is about getting us bigger. And we will get bigger. Through the help and support of each and every single person that came out here today. So from the bottom of all the victims that spoke out today, from everybody that spoke out, please spread the message. Let's get the word out there, and let's get bigger, and we will get bigger through the help of each and every single person here. Thank you so much.
Just want to say a quick couple of words. First of all, thank you every one of you for coming out today. Thank you to all of our speakers, our brave, fantastic speakers, everyone that came up and spoke and told their story. All right. And thank you, lastly, to all of our team, all of our stewards who have done a fantastic job today as well. And you can follow us, Unite for the Children tour. Next one in Blackpool, we'll see you all there.
Chairman of Young Independents, which is the youth wing of UKIP. I'm the UKIP Youth First spokesman. I'm also the UKIP Greater Manchester interim chair. A few other positions in UKIP as well, with the North West and Wigan branch. And I'm also, of course, a member of Children Matter News. One of the admin's media team members, hosts and speakers. Do a few speeches here and there as well. That's pretty much most of my roles overall. I've mainly come here, of course, because it's not mentioned enough what's going on with the grooming. There's a lot of child abuse going on, and it's not as big as it is. I mean, you've seen the amount of people here, and then you see the amount of people for anti-lockdown. Child abuse is a serious thing. It affects children physically, of course, and mentally. The mental effects that happen for years and years to come afterwards. It affects them for so long, and there's not enough being done about it. The police force, the problem is with the police, there's too much PC methods, I'd argue, too much political correctness within the force that stop them from acting on their duties. On top of that, of course, the police priorities. For example, with racism, of course it is an issue. Yes, they should deal with it. The amount of money being put into departments like that, and then the amount going to departments for rape and child abuse, there's a massive difference, of course. And not only that, when people report what's going on, the police most of the time take the wrong side. They don't listen to the victim, especially not when the victim's young. When the victim's children, they won't listen to them. And that's the major issue that we have there. My Facebook, Jordan Gaskell, my Facebook page. YouTube, I'm Jordan James Gaskell there. And on Instagram, I am Jordan_Gaskell_. So, got all those social medias for people.
As well as former police and crime commissioner who's guilty of complicity in the abuse of children by facilitating abuse because of who the abusers were, guilty of malfeasance, non-feasance, malpractice, perjury, the lot. He needs to be in the dock. Everyone I'm showing you here today should be in the dock. Lord Steele, Chief Whip, knew Cyril Smith was a paedophile, knew he was abusing children, but still knighted him. He knew, and he knighted him anyway. Why should he sit in our House of Lords? He's not worthy of our House of Lords, he's not worthy of our government, he's not worthy of our country. He should be struck off, locked up for facilitating child abuse. That's what he's done.
Well said!
I want to show you the poster. Come and have a look. Come and have a close look. Gordon Brown, Tony Lloyd, Peter Fahy, Steve Haywood, Richard Farnell, Andy Burnham, Alan Brett, Bev Hughes, Sean Fielding. So I'm going to tell you one by one who these are again. So Gordon Brown, Prime Minister, we know who he is, we know what he did. His memo left thousands of children in the UK to be abused at the hands of abusers with no way out. Tony Lloyd was the MP of Roachdale and a former police and crime commissioner that allowed this to happen and passed it down to all his officers and underlings at Greater Manchester Police. He is complicit in the abuse of children. Steve Haywood was then his underling. He was his next lackey over here in this building behind me. Steve Haywood was the most corrupt police inspector that Greater Manchester's ever had. He was sacked for it. He's known for the mass abuse, mass mass failings, Operation Augusta, Operation Sheldon, Operation Cleopatra, Operation Clifton, shall I go on? There's 6 or 7 more, all failed under his watch. He's been moved on now, well that's what they do, he's not been held to account, he's moved on to a new position elsewhere. We're not here for just exposing, we're here because we want these people to be held to account for their failures. Richard Parnell was the former leader of Roachdale Council, Labour Party member and Roachdale Council leader. Richard Parnell was told lies to the National Inquiry into Child Abuse. He decided to tell him he knew nothing about No View whilst council leader for 30 years. It was a lie, the National Inquiry said it was a lie, but the Met Police said there's no evidence to charge him with perjury for lying under oath. Alan Brett, I'm going to wrap these up because Alan Brett, Sean Fielding, Bev Hughes and Andy Burnham, along with Richard Parnell, and obviously these no longer exist in this role, make up what is we know as the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, the GMCA, the very people who are in charge to keep these coppers behind us and the corrupt police behind us that are ignoring child abuse to heel and to book. That's why they're on. They have absolutely not just failed, knowingly allowed this to continue, but refusal to absolutely do anything about it, to then become complicit in the abuse of children through lack of action.
Well done, Bill. Well done, Bill.
Right guys, I want to alert you to something that happened a couple of years ago. Many of you who followed me will already know about this, but there's some new faces and I want you to see it. I especially want you guys recording to pick this up. They're all new. I told them about kids being abused in their ward and she did fuck all. Do you anyone who knows who this is? Sarah Raybotham, the Roachdale whistleblower. Yeah, this is Sarah Raybotham. I had a conversation with Sarah and I want to share it with you guys today. Right guys, so let me start from the beginning. When the Ixter inquiry found Roachdale Council and its people who were running at the time complicit in the abuse of children, what they decided to do was have a meeting at Roachdale Town Hall to remove Cyril Smith's freedom of the borough. This man was knighted for the mass abuse he did. It's not what he knew, it's not who he knew, it's what he knew, we believe. They removed his freedom of the borough, so in the council meeting at the night, all the survivors from No View, all the campaigners who fought over No View, for 30 years, Mike Reader, you can see at my feet now, Linda Phillips, for 30 years, fought for campaigning over No View. Linda Phillips passed away at the start of this year. Never forgotten. Linda started this fight for us as PagUK. She was part of the PagUK team. For 35 years she fought against Cyril Smith, Richard Parnell and Greater Manchester Police into uncovering exactly what happened at No View. She won that fight. No View was exposed. Everybody knows what happened at No View. But what I'm going to show you now is exactly how much they knew.
You know, the ambulance chase, this sounds really bad, but the ambulance chase who followed you outside last night were just as bad as the nasty bastards behind me who were staring up at you saying, "We give you what you want. What do you want? What else do you expect?" They were just as bad.
Well, I'll tell you what you expect, yeah.
Yeah, well, the fella who followed you out was Jackie Bendick's husband, right? I told Jackie Bendick the children in her ward were being abused, and she did fuck all. The other woman who came out, Lynn Brosnan, she's one of the ones who said to me, we all knew about Cyril Smith. We all knew about Cyril Smith. Everybody knew.
Everybody knew. We're talking about senior Labour leaders of Roachdale Council, senior front benches of the Labour Party. We knew. They all knew. We all knew about Cyril. We all knew. Don't take my word for it, guys. This is a deputy leader of Roachdale Council, Sarah Raybotham, the Free Girls whistleblower. Yeah, that's her words. That's her voice you've just heard on there. It's not me telling you stories. I'm proving it to you. As long as I prove each and every one of these are complicit in the abuse and facilitate abuse around the UK, and we need to stand and make a stop against it. That's why I'm joining with these guys. Yeah, Patriots of Britain, we're going on tour. The next one's Blackpool. What's the dates, mate? Do you want to come and give some dates? 17th of July, 2 o'clock at Winter Gardens in Blackpool. We're going to be there. Come and join us because we need to make a stand, because we need change. We need accountability, because these people are still working in public offices around the country, and it's not fair to the survivors who have to rise on these dirty bastards.
Yes. Shame on you! 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 Shame on you!
can tell you now, I can confirm Operation Hydrant is now running. That's the operation in charge of running for operator over Norview and its investigation. I can tell you so far as 4 weeks ago, one of my clients, a Norview survivor, was told no further action on everything he reported. It took this lad many years of screaming and shouting about his abuse to be ignored and then to finally be listened to because he had someone with a PagUK coat on stood next to him when he disclosed to the police. The inquiry didn't speak to him. The only people the inquiry spoke to were the victims of Cyril Smith. But let me tell you, when Cyril Smith left Norview, the abuse carried on for another 25 years and they're not willing to even look at it, and that's why we stand here today. I want to talk something personal. My own daughter 3 weeks ago was sexually assaulted in college by a visiting adult male who was there to learn English. The guy was in his 30s. I reported this to the police instead of chopping his fucking hands off. 3 weeks, my daughter still hasn't had her statement taken. 3 weeks ago. Oakwood College have been fantastic. They kicked him out of college, and as well as him, 2 of his friends as well. So the only thing I can say about Oakwood College is thank you very much for safeguarding my child. They stood by me while I'm trying to press charges. However, 3 weeks still, the police haven't taken my daughter's statement. Yesterday, I made a formal complaint. I made a formal complaint to Greater Manchester Police. 1, about the conduct, and 2, about the officer involved. So here's what's happened so far. The officer has gone into college, spoken to the pastoral officer, asked for the name of the gentleman who's done it and said, would you like me to have a word? I don't need Greater Manchester Police to have a word, I can do that myself. What I want you to do is take my daughter's statement and arrest this man for sexual assault. She doesn't go to college to be sexually assaulted. She goes to college to further her education, and it should be a safe place for all their children. It's going to happen to somebody else, but it's going to be worse than what it was this time. Now, I've been waiting. I made the complaint yesterday. Lord behold, I'm on my way here today. Guess what? I get a call off. Can you come today to make a statement? Can you speak to this inspector? No, I've got plans. No, I've got plans. If you want to speak to me, I'll be outside your head office all day. Luckily, the officer, the inspector I spoke to, sounded okay on the phone. Let's just see. He said to me, it's not the officer's fault. This is an organisational failure.
Yes, of course it is.
Finally admittance after 10 years of me screaming at them, they've actually today finally admitted they're failing as an organisation and they're not fit for purpose. They're in it, they're corrupt. I don't think they're corrupt as they are incompetent. But the people who are suffering are our children, our Greater Manchester's children, and that's why we need to grow in numbers, that's why we need to keep making a stand together, and that's why we're rolling on to Blackpool next to make the same stand there. I hope you've joined me. Thank you for being here, guys. Thanks for listening, and thanks to my staff for all the hard work. Thank you.
If he's not arrested by Monday morning, we're going to sting him and expose him. So everyone what he is, dirty, filthy animal. Now we have a team called Elusive Child Protection. We protect children. Basically we use decoys. We'd rather be a decoy than a real child. This guy is not arrested. I'm going there now and ask them, he's still not done anything. I think you 2 seconds, but he's not arrested by Monday morning. We're going to expose him. 100%. That's what we do. Reach out to him. No, but if you won't come in for about 2 seconds, but Great Manchester Police do nothing. By Monday morning, we'll expose this man and like, look, we've got doing difficulties. If he's able to use a phone, able to use a computer, and able to spell it for you right, talk to children, manipulate a child to believe it, and it should no longer, it should be stunned.
It stuns me at some of these demos, what we do across the country, that there can be dozens and dozens and dozens of police there, wasting time and resources when they should be out catching paedophiles. But what I'm saying is, it's the chicken and the egg. If you were catching paedophiles and doing your job, we wouldn't be there, and you wouldn't need to police us. We're only turning out because there's years and years and years of abuse going on, and nothing's been done about it, or very little, very, very little. And it's not a religious thing. Abuse goes on in the houses of Parliament, it goes on in society, in families, the lot. Yeah, and it's about time the police crack down on it, because the most heinous crime you can commit. They get 2 years in prison, then they come out, they get a new identity, new house, so they're protected from the public. It's us who want protecting from them. 25 years minimum sentence they should get. Simple as that, innit?
What's the news, Billy? Right, for 10 years, guys, you've known me and who are close to me have known what I've done for 10 years. For 10 years, I've tried to get myself in this building and in one of these offices with the big wigs to try and get something. I'm all about change. Yeah, and accountability. I want to make a difference. I don't just want to do this for the sake of doing it. I don't want to march for the sake of marching. I don't want to protest just for the sake of protesting by going home in about an hour's time and there'll be nothing happen after today. What I'm about is I want something to be at least, I want to change things. I want children to be safer in their borough of Great Manchester, Roachdale, Oldham Borough. And we're not going to do that until we change their way of thinking. So what I've just arranged there, and tell you what guys, I've been trying to do this for 10 years, and if it's just all I get out of today, I'll be happy. I've just got myself an appointment with the chief bigwig. He won't come out, he's not going to come and face you, but he's going to wish that he had when he sat with me in a room, let me tell you that, because I'm not going to leave no stone unturned.
He doesn't sit in a room,
Billy is going to get you. Billy's going to give you all the evidence you need to lock these dirty bastards up who call themselves councillors, who call themselves politicians, and call themselves policemen. No longer are we going to allow this. I hope you're listening, because I'll be back. I'm not asking you to get on your fucking knees, I'm asking you to stand up for our children. That's the way it is, and that's the way we're going to follow. Today was all about making a stand, letting them know we're not going to pussyfoot this shit anymore. We're going to name you, we're going to shame you, and we're going to hold you to account. If not legally, but publicly, we'll still be exposing you. We don't give a shit who you are or what organisation you represent, we're exposing you. Labour, Tory, doesn't matter which. You're guilty, you're getting exposed. Really?